Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Last video we had just finished setting up our, the early stages of putting our weapons in the game. This video we will be implementing our weapons. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go right into our player and open her up all the way to our right hand. And I'm going to create an empty in there called weapons. And I'm going to create, well, just to line things up properly, I'm going to put a weapon in here. And as you notice, it's very small. So I'm going to scale our weapons up to maybe 100. There. I'm not sure why it scales down like that, but there you have it. Now our weapons is ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and line that up. Something like that. And I'm going to delete the weapon we just put in, and I'm going to redo that. I'm going to create called weapon 1. Alright, I'm going to drop the weapon that I want in there, which is this one instead. I'm going to remove these colliders as well. Alright, so that is our weapon, and it's going to be turned off obviously to start. I'm going to go ahead and do this for all the weapons that I want in the game, so I think I'm going to have maybe 10 weapons, not quite, I don't know. So I'll come back once we've lined all them up in our right hand. Alright, so I've gone ahead and added 8 weapons into my game. The 8th one being on my left hand because it's a bow. And I've lined them up to pretty much how I need them. I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments we'll have to make. But yeah, so for now we are going to turn these all off. And we will add in how to equip them and how they interact with each other. Stuff like that. So right off the bat, I know that we're going to want to write a trigger on these. That trigger being on enable. We are going to set active, and then we're going to set active the rest of the weapons to false. So if weapon 1 is active, we're going to want to set weapon 2 to false. And we're going to copy and paste that all the way up to all of our weapons. So I'll come back when I've done that, and I'll show you guys. Alright, so when weapon 1 is enabled, it will set weapon 2 to 8 to false. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to paste that to this one, to weapon 2. And then instead of setting weapon 2 to false now, because we're on weapon 2, we're going to switch that to weapon 1. And you're going to repeat this process for all your weapons, so they all set each other to false. So I'll do that one more time to show you guys. So for weapon 3, and we're going to change weapon 3 to back to 2, so on and so forth. Alright, so I got my weapon 1 deactivating those, 2 deactivating those, so on. Alright, next we will have them enable local motions, because we don't want, our one-handed animations to be put on, say, our bow, stuff like that. And at this point, I haven't made those with you guys. I've made them myself, but I haven't done it with you guys. So I'm going to show you what I've done here. I got my animations and some local motions here. So I have the mega animation pack, so it comes with a lot of stuff. So I've got, my one-handed animations here. My idle animation looks like that. And the movement, all stuff for the corresponding weapon that I want it to. So I'm going to go ahead, if you got those you know, we're gonna do that. If not, recommend getting some kind of animation pack and setting that up for yourself. And if you don't know how to do that, well, let me show you real fast, but I'm not going to spend time doing it. So you would create game creator, character, basic locomotion, and then you would drag and drop your animations here for the things that you need. So, you know, if you're doing a modern survival with guns, then you got some gun animations, drop those in here. Alright. So now that I have those, let's see, what is our weapon one? That will be a one-handed. So we're going to change our state. So we're going to enter state. And I'm going to also add a weight. I'm going to wait 0.1 seconds. So in between setting the other weapons to false and entering our new state, we're going to wait 0.1 seconds. And I'm going to drop the locomotion I want in there. Alright. And so just a quick test. I'm going to turn on my weapon 2. And then I'm going to switch to weapon 1 mid-game to see how that affects it. Alright, so there's my weapon 2, switch to weapon 1. Now I'm in, you know, the proper combat state for that, and it deactivates the other weapon. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and copy these. And because it's still a one-handed, I'm going to keep the one-handed on this one. Now this is a two-handed, but that's not a two-handed, it's a two-handed long. Or that's what I've classified it in mine, so go ahead and copy these again. And I'm going to set my two-handed long. So now this looks like I'm holding a spear properly. There we go. Still going to have to adjust where the spear sits on my hand. And I'm going to go ahead and do these for the rest of my weapons, and then we will add some more stuff in all of them after, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back to you guys. Okay, so I've changed all the animation states per weapon. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick test of that to showcase that. So we're going to activate all the weapons accordingly. Alright, so there's weapon 1, weapon 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but yeah, my offhand weapon, my bow, I put it in my left hand because, you know, that's just the way we're going to be holding it. So yeah, there's that. And on disable, well, I'm not going to have it so you can unequip your weapons, only switch between them. So normally I would do on disable, you would turn that state off. If that's how you want your game, if you want to be able to unequip your weapon and go into like an unarmed mode, then you would put a trigger on disable and then find stop state. Who knows, I might do that, but as of right now, I don't plan on unequipping weapons. You're always going to have at least something attached, except for maybe off the start of the game. So what next is we're going to add the inputs for the weapon, and then each weapon will be you know, toggling that input. So under player settings, I am going to be doing, or no, under game settings, because I already have an inputs area. I'm going to create an empty, and I'm going to call this combat inputs. I'm going to create an empty one here, call this weapon, or no, input, weapon, and then 1. Okay, and I'm going to create an empty under that. We're going to call it primary, and then another one called secondary. And before we can even add the inputs in, we are going to have to add tags to our weapons. So each weapon is going to have 2 tags. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our project settings, go under tags and layers. And we're going to add, so for my first weapon was an axe, so I'm going to do axe, and then axe skill. Second one was a pickaxe, pickaxe, pickaxe skill. I want you to go ahead and do this for all your weapons, and I'm doing 2 because I want to have some kind of skill attack. If you're not doing that, you just need the 1, then do that. So we're going to go ahead and do that all the way down to finish all our weapons. So spear, spear skill. Alright, so that's what I've got there for my 8 weapons. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the collisions. Normally I would have the collision like as a box in front of my character, and it would activate and then deactivate. But this time around I'm going to try it where we add the collisions to the weapon themselves. So what I mean by that is I'm going to turn on my weapon 1, and I'm going to add a box collider. Okay, I'm going to dumb that down so it's about the same size as my weapon. Oh dear, I meant to do that on the box collider itself. So I'm going to make this collider is trigger. I'm going to put that under axe. Okay, not quite how I want it. We're going to have to adjust that position a little bit. Something like that. And this might take a little time here to figure out. But that's where I want my axe collision to be. You know what? So that's, if you were going to do it that way, that's how you would do it. I think I'm actually going to do it the other way that I originally said. So, because it's just going to be easier now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to go ahead and go under my character again. I'm going to close all that. So under my character, I'm going to create an empty called weapon collisions. I'm going to create an empty called weapon or collision weapon 1. Create another empty called primary collision. Add a box collider. And that's going to be right in front of us like that. And that's going to be our primary weapon 1 tag. And on this, we're going to make that a trigger. And we're going to add a script. Now the reason why I switched over is because of the script. So on enable, we're going to wait 0.1 No, we're going to wait 0.2 seconds and then set active self to false. I didn't want to do that on the weapon itself because I already had, you know, a trigger on there, and I thought maybe it might interfere with it somehow, so we're going to do this on its own separate thing. I'm going to duplicate that and call this one skill collision. And this is going to be set to our axe skill. The rest remains the same. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this down 8 times, or how many ever weapons you have. And then we're just going to change the tags. That would be my pickaxe and pickaxe skill. This would be my spear. And then I'm going to come back when this is done. Okay. So I've added collisions to all my stuff up here, as you can see in the top right. And it's going to be true for all my weapons except my bow. For now, I've done my bow like this just to add it in with the rest, but we will be changing that when we come to it. But that is a later video. So for now, we are going to turn off all the collisions. Okay. Now we can start working on our inputs now that we have proper collisions for our weapons. So for my weapon 1, we are going to have it trigger. Trigger, oops. And that trigger will be on input. And then we'll change that to mouse press, left. And then we will add an instruction. That instruction will be, we're going to play gesture. And I'm going to find ourselves a nice one-handed attack. So, melee warrior, animations, one-handed, right hand. I'm probably just going to go with the basic number 1 attack. Alright. And if you're using this same animation pack, you have the option to switch the avatar mask, because it comes with some stuff. So if you want to be able to move and attack at the same time, use something that does your upper body, like that. I don't want to move and attack because I am using a point and click system. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my root motion on so I can stay stationary while I attack. Alright. We are not going to wait for it to complete. Instead, we will be waiting about half a second, and then we're going to turn on our collision. So that will be for our collision 1 primary collision to true. Sorry, we are actually going to turn on all these collisions, but we're going to turn on the collisions within them off. There we go. So yeah, that will set our collision 1 to true. And then we're probably going to wait another 0.5 seconds. And yeah, that is a very basic attack that sets off our collision. I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick test go. So, gotta find our weapons here. Turning on my weapon 1, and I'm going to go find my collisions. Watch this in-game scene to show you that it sets the collision off. So you might need to adjust the collider and where it stands and how big it is, but that's the idea. So any enemy within that box is going to get hurt every time we do it. Alright, because I'm doing point and click, I don't know if you are or not, but as I attack, it's going to also stop our movement. Alright. Don't think there's anything else I need to add into that. I'm just going to double check on that here. 1 second. Alright, so another thing we'll be doing is we're going to be setting active our input controls to false every time we attack. So we can't really combine our weapons with like our main attack with our secondary attack at the same time and set off 2 collisions or even open our inventory in mid-battle or mid-attack. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. So we're going to set active. So right off the bat too, like right after we stop moving, we're going to set our input controls to false. And then once we're done with the attack, we will set our input controls back to true. Alright. And to adjust how fast you attack, you would just simply tinker with the wait times in this. Probably the last one though, to be honest. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this component. And we're going to paste it on our secondary. And I want a different animation for this, so I want to go down to, I think it's primary attack 3 that I want. Alright, and then we're going to set the skill collision to true now. And that's pretty much it. That's our secondary attack. Oh, we're going to change what button it is. I'm going to go, because I'm using right click to move, probably just going to use the middle mouse button for that one. I'm sure for most of you it will probably be your right button, because I doubt most of you will be doing point and click like me, so yeah, let's go ahead and test that now. So my input controls are off. Don't know why. What happened there? Oh, that's right. So my input weapon 1 should be set to false for 1. I think that's what that was. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my weapon on. Oh, okay, so my weapon doesn't activate my input 1 either, so we're going to add a trigger. We're going to put that down after the 0.1 second, and we're going to set active input weapon 1 to true. I'm going to add another trigger, and this is going to be on disable, and this is going to be set active input 1 to false. There we go. Should be looking a little better. There we are. Okay, so that's bugging out a little bit. Let me figure that out. Alright, so unfortunately that's probably not going to work by deactivating the input controls. So we're going to take that function out, and we'll figure something else out later down the road. So under our primary attacks, we're going to just get rid of that setting that false to the inputs. Alright, I'm going to test that one more time now. Alright. So I'm definitely going to have to adjust the colliders here. But it is working now. Alright. So now we're going to be adding these inputs for all of our weapons this time. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go all the way up to 8 with this one for me. And let's see. So our weapons. So for weapon, where is it? I seem to have lost my right hand. Oh, there it is. So weapon 1 will now activate input 1 controls. We got to do the same for weapon 2. So input 2 controls. And then we will copy and paste this one, add it into weapon 2, and make sure that's input 2. Alright, I'm going to do that for all 8 of my weapons, and then I will meet you back here in a second. Alright, so I've added my input enables and disables to all the weapons. Next is changing these inputs themselves to use the right colliders. So for the primary one, for weapon 2, we will set active our primary weapon 2 collision. And same with the secondary. And I'm not really going to change the animations right now per weapon. We'll adjust that later. I'll do that on my own time, probably. And then just have you guys do it on your own time as well. So I'm going to set all these collisions to the proper input. So input 3 is going to use weapon 3. Primary. And secondary. And then I will see you guys after that. Okay, so I've added my collisions per weapon. I'm going to go ahead and give that a quick test run. So for weapon 1, keep an eye right here, make sure these are weapon 1 collisions. Yep. And yep. Weapon 2. Seems to work. Yeah, so always make sure you're testing here. Alright, so all my stuff's lined up. And lastly, we will be pretty much adding these into our inventory. I have a package installed, or an asset package called Rapid Icon, and that's going to let me take in-game screenshots of my weapons and then use them as an icon for my inventory. You know, so I'm going to do that real fast, and then we will get on to putting them into our inventory. So if you guys don't have something like that, and you're just going to use your own icons from wherever, then you can go ahead and skip this next part. But for anybody who is using Rapid Icon, which I highly recommend, this is what we're going to do. We're going to copy and paste all of the weapons that we've put into our game, and I'm going to drag and drop them into a folder that I made called icons. Now I already have icons in here because this is my second go at making a survival series, and I had to delete the first one. I was like 10 videos into that too, but anyways, let me get rid of those. And I'm going to add these ones back into it. Alright. So now, what I'm going to do is, if you are using Rabbit Icon, we're going to go find the tool. There it is. And our bow's not popping up, so let's just close that. Try that again. There it is. So, let's line these up the way you would want them. I'm going to do like a, somewhat of like a diagonal. And just rotate that a bit. Alright, I'm going to copy that for these ones. And we're just going to have to adjust these a little bit now. Copy that to this one, and to the rest of them probably. There we go. This is annoying. There we go. Alright, the rest kind of look good. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, if you're using this again, we're going to change these any post-processing other than point. And then for all of them, we're going to export the resolution at, we'll go with 512 by 512. They look a little more crisp now. And we're going to apply that to all settings, or icons. Oh, I screwed up. Okay, I'm going to back out of that, reopen this. Okay. I'm not sure where my axe went. There it is. Okay, so close to finishing this, and now it's giving me so much troubles. There we go. Okay. All of these are going to share the same. Alright, and I'm just going to have to adjust these one more time here. Oh, this is annoying. Alright, so those are my icons for my 8 weapons. And we're going to go ahead and export all of them. Okay. That is done now. I'm going to go ahead, find my Rapid Icon folder. I'm going to go ahead and delete these out of the icons now. And then go into my Rabbit Icon exports. I'm going to drag and drop those into my project icons again. And then I'm going to highlight all of them. We're going to override them and make it a 2D in UI sprite and apply. Now these are ready to be thrown into my inventory. And then yeah, we will tackle that in the next video, setting these up in our inventory, being able to equip them, and maybe adding a button to cheat and get all of them just for testing purposes. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully this wasn't too confusing and you guys were able to follow along. If not, I am sorry. And you might just have to use an older method and from an older video. It's all pretty much the same though. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.